It's time we talk about inspiration for a minute. And I'm just going to try to briefly touch on this as I'm holding this funky little school block in my hand for kids for counting. I think it's a base 10 block system. But I made this whole row of them I was going to make a guitar out of. I guess I'll grab it and show you. And I had this intention of making. I had this thing I collected from an old job site, and it was basically a cover that went over a stove, and it's kind of routed out. So inside, I put all these blocks. They're all different colors, and they're wood blocks, and I haven't quite affixed them or done anything like that. But I wanted to. Didn't intend on showing that, but what I'm going to do is fill that with resin, and I'm going to cut out a guitar shape from it. And my intention here is not to brag about what I'm doing or talk about myself, but rather to talk about being inspired and to hope to inspire other people. If you have something that you want to do, just fucking do it. Grab a goddamn tool, grab a pen, a pencil, a keyboard, whatever it might be. You want to vlog, you want to write stories or books, you want to build something from scratch. Just do it. Because if you don't start now, you're never going to do it. I have a friend named Scoey who has been making hats lately. I've shown all of you the hats. They're great. Actually, here's one right here. It's little bucket hats. This is my Grateful Dead hat. And he makes these. He's given us several different kinds. Really like them. I've got another one behind me with an old cassette tape on it. He just had an idea and he wanted to be inspired and do something. And so he did it. And not too far after that, I was talking to another friend of mine who said he wanted to build guitars. And so I said, let's do that because I wanted to do that too. And so we started building guitars. And I thought, every bit of negative feedback I might get or doubt or, oh, that's hard to do, that's what pushes me. And also the positive reinforcement. And that's the main point. I cannot run my whole focus on just negativity alone. In other words, I need people who are willing to say, dude, that looks fucking cool, keep at it. Not because it necessarily is. And that's the thing. We are here to reinforce each other. And to be able to share the experiences with one another of creating something. And if you have the motivation, if you have the inspiration to design and create and build something, do it. Don't let anything stop you. I've had a hard time in the last several years of being really inspired, like I was when I was young. The way I could just grab a whole, a bunch of random products, whatever it might be, and just make an art thing. I mean, I still do these things, but here's where I wanted to go with this. Turning that into income is one of the hardest things for some people. Some people can just be artists and they have that mentality to, just sell their art. But for some people, and this is what I've realized, and the main point of my discussion here, is that a lot of us don't feel very confident about our art. A lot of us don't feel confident about our creations, that they're even worthy. I mean, look, over here I've got these bracelets that I made. And, I literally over 100 of these. I've got jewelry up the yin yang. And they aren't just bracelets, they're, glow in the dark. They've got various different types of moss in them. I put all this work into making all this resin jewelry. And then I just said, well, maybe it's not cool enough. The same thing happened. I know a lot of my subscribers are aware of with my tie-dyes. I haven't put those up for sale yet because I've been like, well, I want to perfect everything. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I'm more of a perfectionist than I realized. That I'm a little concerned. I never want to sell a bad product or something that might break or something that might not work properly. Because I hate rip-offs. I hate scammy, shitty, crappy products. And I know that I don't make those, but at the same time, I'm reluctant to sell my own goods. It's funny, like as I said, the other day I talked about building my first guitar. This is the inspiration for it, which is the Squire. It's a very standard flat neck from Fender. They make these, They're, pretty standard guitars. But I just used that as a basis. And so here's my first guitar as I've started it. It's not nearly finished, but we've got the body made of mahogany. And it's clamped right now because there's no screw holes yet. I need to align that. But I've done the neck on the back. I've put in the maple neck as well as the fretboard. All the things I was a little bit nervous about doing. And I just popped a few frets in here to give you an example, but these still have to be rounded off. But this is going to be a beautiful guitar, I hope. But the point I was going to make is that the other day I was taking a risk. I had already put some resin in the neck, and I wanted to be creative. And I thought, should I put resin on the top of the head? And I was very sketched out. And even when I poured resin, I was like, should I add glow resin to it? I did. And then I was like, should I add purple to it? And I just kept adding things. And in the end, as you can see, it's got a really nice gloss. It's got a nice sheen to it. It needs to be polished up a little bit, but in general, it turned out. It worked out the way I'd hoped it would. But even more than that, and here's the part that really made me want to do it using these particular colors, was if you grab a black light, check this out. So it looks purple when it's in the light, and it looks pretty much green or glowing. And you can see shining through the back there is the design that I put in it, which goes all the way through to the back. So it's hard to see with this bright light that I have here, but point being, I'm not here to just show you the whole thing. It has a long way to go, but I am very excited about it, and I put in my love to it, just like I did with these, like with the bracelets, for example. Check this out. So you can't even see it because just the camera never does any justice. But if I shine the light in here for just a minute, they all start to glow. And you can see which ones have, various inclusions and resin, cannabis, things like that. So no, this is not marketing them yet. I actually listed them on my channel, or on my my website, my Kratom website. And then I just ended up kind of leaving a note that said, well, when they're ready, I'll sell them. And I thought, okay, what do I have to do? I need to polish them. I need to get the edges cleaned up, make sure everything's just right. Are all of these good enough quality? What size are they? Are they going to fit the person they're getting to? It's just like when you're there face to face with a person, they can try it on. And that's a totally different story. And that's why my friend Scoey and I were talking about getting a booth and going to concerts and festivals and selling our stuff in person, because at least you can see the person you're selling it to. And I guess with guitars it'll be a little different. When I finally finish this bass, I'm going to actually probably put it up for bid or auction, but my original intention was to keep it. But I need to get over that, being able to just make something and sell it. But I realized the reason I don't want to sell it isn't because I don't want to sell something that I've made as my first guitar. It's because I don't feel like the quality will be good enough because it was my first guitar. It's the same way I felt about everything. I made these last year, got some stools, and made this Grateful Dead thing. But if you look at it from the side, you can see that it's actually grooved into there. This was routed out and then filled with paint and resin. It wasn't just like something that I just drew on there. And I thought sometimes it reminds me that the time we spend to do on something isn't always necessarily the best use of our time. But at any rate, I've got during the process I was able to build a couple of things, like a router template that allows me to router out the truss rod for the guitars, and I even included a fret sawing template on it so I can saw the frets out on fretboards. And I have another beautiful piece. Hey, you can hear that. Beautiful rosewood. You can see the lines. They're already scored on there, but I still need to cut that out. But that's a rosewood fretboard. And then I have a Koa fretboard that's already rounded. And then I have another Koa fretboard that still needs to be adjusted. So while I was building the guitars, I started building other parts. And like I said, grabbing stuff like this, which I'm hoping to fill with resin and use as a body for a guitar. Because I'm not going to be held back by trying unconventional things. I think that that's important. I think that's what we need more of. Doing unconventional things, creating unconventional art, thinking outside the box, which is something that today's society seems to think that they're doing all the time, but really it's just the same old shit. And fortunately, there has been a lot of, I don't know, it's very difficult to go out and just sell your art these days because there's just so much on the market. Let's put it that way. And so it makes it very awkward for artists who want to sell their things. They feel like they're competing with everyone else, and I don't really want to get into the topic of bullshit like Etsy and eBay here, where you are paying like 10% of your every sale, you're paying like 10% of your sale to Etsy, then you're paying another 10% of your sale to PayPal, then another 30% of your sale to freaking the IRS, and in the end, you have to charge twice what something's worth to sell it online. To me, online selling holds artists back from not only making what it's worth, but connecting with an actual customer. I would much rather meet a person, personally, or at least have personal discussions than sell them something for way higher of a price. And that makes it hard because I hate online selling and I hate the digital era. But anyway, that's my ramble about art. And I like making shit, and I know a lot of you do too. And I guess if there were one message, it would be to just do it. Just do it. Build some shit. God, am I going to get a copyright strike from Nike for saying just do it? Talk to you next time.